Welcome to They Talk Funny, episode 54, and my special guest today is the fantastic Kate Davis. Hello, how are you doing? Did I catch you by surprise there? I was going, that's not, I felt the inside of that was bronze enough that I'm thinking, is that a fries container that she was pulling out fries?
I was actually just lighting a candle, getting in the groove.
Get in the groove. Yes. We've worked together in the past, Kate, but for anyone who is not familiar with Kate Davis at this point, she's award-winning. She's a Phil Hartman Award-winning comedian. Was nominated for the Canadian Comedy Prize like several times. She's appeared at the Winnipeg Comedy Festival, the Hubcap Comedy Festival, the Kitchener-Waterloo Comedy Festival, which I didn't even know existed. I feel very bad as a Canadian. She's done a CTV Now. She's been a panelist on George Stroumboulopoulos, which I know I will never pronounce properly. And welcome to the show.
Thank you for having me.
My pleasure. It's great to have you here. If anyone, I see some people are tuning in already. If you want to pop a comment in to say hi, we're going to have a giveaway during the show. So please stick around and you can get, I forgot, published author. How could I forget published author? Second Best Mom is your current book that is out. So we're going to have a giveaway that people are just going to do hashtag second best. We'll remind you later on before we do the draw, but it's hashtag second best.
Oh, it happens.
It's been a day. It's been a day. It's one of those things. Welcome, Kate. So how have you been? Let's start out with that.
I've been good. I've just been enjoying the lockdown. I'm in Toronto, so we are locked down. You can probably see my mustache right now.
Oh no, is mine showing?
It's been quite a year, honestly. I don't even know. I mean, we've all been going through it. We've all been going through it together. I actually had COVID-19 last March. I was like patient zero. I swear to God, I was in BC doing shows. I got home. I wasn't feeling good. And I ended up being 21 days in my bedroom, isolated alone. I found out I was with someone. They wouldn't test me. They finally tested me, and I tested positive for COVID-19. And as a mother of three, I cannot tell you, I felt like I'd won the lottery. Oh my God, I didn't have to cook or clean or talk to any of my kids. Are you kidding me? For 3 weeks? I couldn't believe it, Paul. Oh my God. Good times.
And no sustained effects from it. You're good that way.
I think so. I know I'm knocking on wood. I mean, you always feel weird. Like I haven't really felt the same because we're still going through it, right? You're still panicky and all that, but I think I'm fine. The thing I really lost was because I didn't have any of the symptoms they said I was going to have. Like I had no fever. I did not have like a cough. I felt like I couldn't catch my breath. The only one I really had, which I didn't even know I had, it was like a really slow cotton on, was I lost my sense of smell, but I didn't realize I lost my sense of smell until my teenage son walked in the room. And then I'm like, that's it. I got COVID. That is it. Anyway, it was really weird. I didn't even it was just a bizarre thing to go through and have it affect like me. Like I couldn't believe it. I got it on the plane or at the airport for sure. But it was crazy. It was scary and fine.
Did you keep in touch with the people you performed with while you were in BC?
A little bit. Like I put it on Facebook, but like because it was over 2 weeks after, because they wouldn't test me,
right?
Because I hadn't been out of the country and I didn't have a fever. It was like almost too late by the time they actually told me. It was like almost 3 weeks after I'd been home. So it was crazy.
That's one of the things with people sharing microphones. It's like, that's such an easy way to transmit anything.
I think I actually got it on the plane because it was March 11th and I was leaving on the 13th and I phoned the club in Victoria and I was like, is the show still happening? And they're like, we're sold out. No cases on the island. And I'm like, all right, I'm coming, I guess. And then, by the time I was leaving there, I just started feeling crappy and that was it. Couldn't believe it, buddy. Anyway, so it's been a crazy year, but I've actually started enjoying all the Zoom shows and everything I've been doing. I did, like, one day I did a show for a group in Alberta and a group in Montreal, and I was like, that never could have happened if I was flying. I would have said no to one. So there's a part of it that's really cool that we can all connect this way. And then there's a part of it that's, sort of creepy, but you don't want to be a robophobe or robophobic, right? You want to embrace AI and do all that. Anyway, I don't know. Am I talking too much? You go ahead.
No, not at all. Look, the reason I do this show is like the comedians can talk and I could just sit here and look semi-intelligent.
Stop it.
All right, but we are sort of jumping ahead. We're talking about what's happened in the last year. Your comedy styling is generally, like, from my observation, I would say more storytelling, with a lot of personal anecdotes, etc. Like, how would you categorize what you do?
It's very observational. What's around me, I take in, I make jokes about it. But at the same time, I feel like it's changed over the years. Like, it used to be just about my kids, and now because they're grown and they've basically left home now. I am still their mother, but not in the same. It's not consuming my life. I'm not, it's different now. So I feel like my comedy has become different, but definitely observational for sure. But now I think that I'm older, it's more things that bug me. I'm like, I gotta write about this. This is pissing me off.
Which is like many comedians of any gender. That's kind of the trope. So it is the things that aggravate you that are doing it, and there's probably plenty of things currently in the world and in Ontario that has been doing that. But would you say you've had any? Like, what were your starting influences, and how had that evolved? Like,
well, it was interesting because when I started, oh my God, I'm going to age myself so much at this point.
I want to mention a part from your bio, which is on your website, katedavis.ca. You started comedy because you needed a night out.
Yes.
And you went down to the local comedy club and never looked back.
Yeah. Like, honestly, I never thought about comedy. I never saw myself doing comedy. I literally lived around the corner from a comedy club called, what was it? It was
what part of town?
It was like Steele's and Bathurst.
Comedy Wood.
Yeah, Comedy Wood by Boris the Hypnotist. Yes. Right? And oh my gosh, it was literally like 2 blocks away. The kids were like 2 and 3. I put them to bed. I just wanted a drink, and it was very Jewish around there, and it was the only place open for a drink. So I was like, that's it, I'm going there. And I went in, I watched, and I thought, oh yeah, I could do this. And it was ended up being Ron Jossel's first night ever doing stand-up, my first night ever doing stand-up. And then like Gavin Stevens and Alan Park and Mr. Mo, like there was a bunch of people there I'm still friends with to this day. And it almost became like my family. It was social. It was like forget those kids. No, it became like an addiction. It was like, and it was something I could do 5 minutes at a time, a couple nights a week. That sort of balanced everything else. Heroin. Yeah, exactly.
Trust me, I'm way too chubby too. It's not heroin. There is. The fact that you had that core group, and those people are all still performing today.
Yes.
Mr. Mo, did he win?
He's a social worker, I believe.
Oh, okay.
Like he's yeah. Go on.
Well, I thought he won an acting award. I'm trying to remember which one.
I don't know. Oh, maybe for The Buzz. Remember The Buzz? I don't know.
This was something a bit more. No, he played Miles Davis. He played Miles Davis in a film.
Oh, I didn't even know that. There you go.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure. I think it was him. When I was speaking with Kenny Robbins and Kenny.
Oh yeah. It was just it was just the universe leading me in the right direction, obviously. But it ended up, and so in terms of like just how my writing has changed over the years, it really goes back to that, like because there was no YouTube, There was the Comedy Network opened, I think 2 years or a year after I started. So really, if you wanted to see stand up, you had to go watch it live. So it was, I think Canadian comics really influenced. I mean, there were the David Carveys and the Steve Martins, and Ellen was out, and
But on TV, we had Just for Laughs. There was A&E's Evening at the Improv.
yeah,
That stuff was on. Even Studio 54, that was on in the mid 90s. And
yes,
I'm pretty sure you were talking a
yeah,
little later than that. So
yeah, exactly, yeah. But I never watched them. Like I never. I was a mom, so I was too tired. But yeah, so it's been. I think my influences were like Kenny Robinson and people, Jeremy Hotz and Derek Edwards and all those people. So
yeah, brilliant influences.
I think so. Yeah, absolutely.
Now you're talking about when you're writing now, you're talking about things that are aggravating you.
Yes.
Now, do you actually set things as a time aside to actually write, or are you, or do you plan in advance? Like, okay, I spend an hour every morning with a notebook, or what is your?
No,
Because you're also
I wish I did that. Honestly, I'm like, why don't I do that? It just depends. I'm in and out of it. Sometimes, I do all my best writing in the morning. I'm an early morning writer. I love getting up and just writing. If I have anything due, I have to set myself deadlines. I have to be disciplined. And, but I find sort of jokes are, I'm in and out of it. Sometimes I'll write a lot of jokes and sometimes they'll just come to me, or I find Twitter really useful for that, because I'll think of a joke and I'll be like, I'll write it. I'll just say it. I've learned not to like wait, because I'll forget it. Like I'll be like half hour later, I'm like, what was that joke? So, but yeah, it's, I do find I have to be disciplined about it to a certain extent, but at the same time, a little organic about it. So I think it's a mixture for me.
Have you ever heard of the morning pages? Since you said that you're more of a morning writer.
No, I haven't heard of the morning pages. Tell me,
Okay.
Paul.
It's a book that I've had a couple people reference in the fact that when you get up in the morning, the first thing you do is you start writing.
Wow.
And you try to write at least 3 pages, and it doesn't matter what you write. It's a way to sort of train you to silence your editor and just kind of write everything out. And sometimes you can go back and find something in that. Other times, and it's like it's a morning ritual with some people.
I love it.
Sometimes before or after coffee.
It's everyone has their process. That sounds amazing.
There's a book on, I think the book is called The Morning Pages. So
I love it. I'll check it out. Thank you.
My pleasure.
I just love like the whole process, because sometimes it's very. I almost feel like it's like almost incubating in me, and then it just sort of pops out. Like I'm just about, last April, I was supposed to do my second album. So I have one album out that's on all streaming called House Arrest. And then I have another album that I was supposed to do last April, a year ago. And because of COVID, I wasn't able to. And because of COVID, I'm not able to. I might actually just do it in my living room, because it's so much COVID and 2020 material in there. I feel like it's sort of going to lose its groove if I don't do it now, kind of thing.
Yeah.
But for me, it's definitely, and one thing feeds the other. Like when I wrote my book, Second Best Mom, I wrote one story a month for over a decade. So, and then I put it all into a book. So it was, and all about raising my kids and everything I was going through. But I found like I would always write a couple jokes within that story, and then those jokes would end up in my stand-up. So I find it's like going to the gym and you never just work out your arms. And for me, being an author, being a writer, being a comic and a speaker, one feeds the other. I had a web series. We did 31 episodes. Some of those episodes were my jokes, and I was like, I really want to shoot this joke that I do in my act. So, yeah.
You now the book, like why were you writing one story a month? Did you have a writing assignment? Were you?
Exactly. So I wrote in the Mom and Caregiver magazine for over a decade, and I had a monthly column with them, and I kept all those, and then I put them all into a book. But it was a great way to like remember things, and like I would never remember anything if I didn't look back on that, but I'd be like, wow, that happened.
Yeah. I wish I had that for things that happened this morning.
See? Right? I know.
Just wait till we get somebody who can narrate our lives so we can.
And all our drunken night stupors. What happened?
Well, you're there for your son. Sorry, because you have the joke about picking up your son when he's stoned.
Yes, I do. Oh.
Sorry to reference material. There's a
no.
It's go ahead.
No, please go ahead.
All right. So if anyone has any questions for Kate, you can just pop them in. Mike Gamash is saying this whole pandemic time will create a gap in everyone's history of performing, as though we all spent a couple of years in witness protection programs. So
true.
That's Mike's take on that. For those of you who are tuning in, I saw we got a couple more watchers. We're going to do a giveaway at the end of the show. So what you need to do is type, I'm going to put the key phrase in here. And so it's to get a copy. If you want to hold up the copy of the book.
I hate it that it's my face.
What was that? You hate that it's your face?
Yeah, I'm like, why didn't I do it different? Anyway. Second best mom. There it is. Because I'm not that good at it. Doesn't matter, guys. So I'll send you a copy.
Hashtag drop that into the chat, and we'll do a giveaway at the end of the show.
Sweet.
So and if you've got any questions, please feel free to drop them into the chat, and we can get Kate to answer those. So okay, there we are. Sorry, it's I got so many things to press. I actually scrolled past it. There we are. Hashtag second best. Put that into the chat for the chance to win. Now, with your writing, with your stand-up, how you develop, is there any advice you wish you had got early, like in your career?
Oh my gosh. I just think it's so great because like when I started, it was just all about stage time. Just right. You know, that is stage time, and it still is. But at the same time, now there's like a ton of like programs and comics teaching other comics their first 5 minutes. My first 5 minutes took me 3 years. Like seriously, to learn to like write a setup and a punchline and what a joke was. And like, some people are supernatural at it and it doesn't take them that long. But for me, it was a learning, a new mindset. And I was so terrified every time I went on stage. I wish, you know what I wish? I wish I would have had more confidence. And just like there's so many people I know, a lot of guys I know with no game and no skills who are so cocky and confident. And I just wish I had a little more of that when I was starting out, because I feel like I would have done better. Instead of being like, do you want a headline? Be like, no, I'm not ready. Or, like I wish I could have just found my confidence and just, like really, I think those places where you can get those skills really fast. I mean, there's something really organic the way I learned, but there's also something pretty amazing about a program or a class you can take, like Comedy Girl. And, there weren't a lot of women, I would say 7 women in the entire country when I started. And most of them are still doing comedy, and they're all incredible, and they're doing comedy all over the world, actually. But it's really nice to see a lot of young, really smart, really funny women in this country doing their thing. And I love watching the evolution of that, because it was a boys' club when I came up in it.
Yeah. Yes.
Yeah. Not to make you uncomfortable. Did I make you uncomfortable?
No. I mean, like I've I've always tried to find people, whenever I'm producing a show, I try to find people with different voices as much as possible.
Yeah.
And usually I'm not looking at gender as one of the qualifiers, but it always ends up having, a good skew to be.
You know what? Like most of the comics who were around me were incredibly supportive. But there were a few who would just want me in the back of the car and to shut up. And you know what I mean? Like, it's just, yeah, there was definitely that. And just, people coming up telling me you're never going to make it, or you should just quit now, or, and then I did comedy in 1999 or 1998, extremely pregnant. And that was just unheard of. It's like, yeah.
And
Now it's all
Cobra
cool.
Mom.
I would have had my own special if I was in the States all pregnant. Here it was like, get off the stage.
The Cobra Mom special.
Yes.
Yeah. Now you were famously with a chain for a long time.
Yeah, I was with Yak Yaks for a long time. Yeah.
And you left them. Now you're working as an independent.
Yeah.
What has that changed for you in your career?
Everything. It's changed everything. Yak Yaks was a great place to grow up in. It gave me, I guess, a paycheck as a comic. Mm-hmm. It gave me stage time. You start off as a split middle where you're doing 15, then you become a middle, then a host, then eventually years later, you might get to headline. So it was really good for me for almost over a decade. And then it became not healthy for me. And for me, it was like leaving and I lived my life this way. I started there healthy, happy, and whole, and I left healthy, happy, and whole. It was just time. And when I did leave, no one said, we really want you to be a part of this. How can we make it better? No one said that to me. Right. So it was definitely what I was feeling was correct. And it was just the right time for me to leave. So I loved my life there. I do miss the comics I got to tour with. Definitely. But the other clubs like Absolute Comedy and The Nest and everything else have been extremely supportive. And especially the Mix in Vancouver before they shut down and stuff like that. So it's definitely been, I was actually, after I left, was even busier. And because you have to fend for yourself, I wasn't complacent, just like, are you available? I was booking myself. I started doing a lot of stuff in Europe and stuff like that. I go to Scandinavia once a year. So I say out of my year, 14 weeks, 16 weeks out of my year at clubs. And the rest of it are 30 weeks or whatever. I'm not good at math. Are all corporate. So, right. And that's the way my career has gone.
Now, did you find that you had was there any, you were booking yourself? Did you? I'm a fan of Yak Yaks as well, in the fact that they give so much stage time, and it is a great place. You said it perfectly. A great place to grow up as a comic.
Yeah.
One of the things, though, is it's very easy for comics in the Yak Yak system to not learn about self-promotion.
Well, that's it, right? Absolutely.
And was that a steep learning curve for you when you started fending for yourself, or?
No, I mean, I'm still working on it. I mean, I'm social media overwhelmed for sure. And where do you put everything? When I grew up, you had something to promote, you put it in the paper. Call it a day. Now there's so many platforms and everyone's on everything. And so no, I find if people really want to connect with you, they will. And if you have a good product, it's going to speak for itself. I don't feel like I've written my best joke yet. I feel like I'm still working on it. I don't feel like I'm done yet. And Yak Yaks tried to tell me I was done. And I'm not. I'll tell the world when I'm done. And I'm not done. And you know what? It's so interesting because I was in Sweden doing shows and I was performing to this really young crowd. And I thought, wow, it's like their mothers performing in front of them. But it almost made it funnier Like it absolutely, like they were like, what is happening? I was like, this is that. Right. So I'm actually really enjoying it and enjoying the confidence I have now and where I am and in my career. It's paid off, the sticking with it and pursuing what I deem I want out of my career and not having any club or any festival dictate whether my creativity is valid or not.
Yeah.
Because people will always connect.
Mike Mash is saying it's unfortunate thing that it's still the case that women in comedy have to be twice as funny as the men in order to be taken half as seriously as a comic.
Yeah.
I think things are changing somewhat. I think you kind of help set that, like you grinding forward and going out there and being as funny as you were, reaching. I'm not trying to be offensive with this question, but I'm gonna ask, how many times have you been told that you are very funny for a woman?
Oh my God, all the time. I can't even count how many times.
Yeah.
It's just, and that's from audience as well. Like we are so conditioned to think that and it's time to change it.
And I think the fact that you were out on the road doing so many shows, that kind of that let the audience experience, oh, women are funny, because they're being told that they're not, because the audience is being told that they're not, because they're only seeing men. They're going, oh, okay, I guess there must be no women who are funny.
I've actually even heard it when they call up me as a headliner and I'm walking to the stage and I hear people go, oh, it's a woman, as I'm walking to the stage. I'm like, I haven't even said a joke yet. Give me a chance. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. And you were out there.
But the Wanda Sykes and, like there's people like way before me, way more talented than me, with different stories than I have. So yeah, but you got to be true to you. You can't let anyone dictate that.
And every person who can have a distinct voice, and it's the fact that so many people just lump all women in one group. Why aren't you lumping all guys in one group? Which has always been sort of a frustrating thing. I mean, there's a lot of guys who have similar voices, but that's because there's so many more men doing comedy.
Yeah.
Now you've, in the COVID time, you've told me that you've embraced the Zoom show. What is that like for you? I personally, I find it difficulty sort of connecting with an audience.
It just depends. I usually ask, like on Zoom anyway, like that weird platform, I ask that I can see everyone, but I like people muted, because if some dog is barking, all of a sudden it jumps to them.
Right.
And stuff like that. As long as I can see people. I think if I was newer at the game, it would be harder. But I think because I know where my laughs are coming, I know what's happening most of the time. Right. And like, I don't want to sound cocky, because it's always in the mail. We know the bomb's always in the mail, right? But definitely, I feel like I already know where my pauses should be. I'm professional enough at this point, but I've done some like on GoToWebinar where I'll have to do an hour, and everyone is actually, because there's so many people at the event, like say 500-600. I'm on a platform all by myself, just speaking into my green light. And I'm like, am I going cross-eyed? Like when it first started, I was literally like, oh my gosh, I'm like literally going to scream and run out the room. Like in my head, I'm like, just keep going. So it's definitely been learning curves, but I've also been amazed how much, like when the Q&A start or people in the chat box, how much I feel like I am connected and people are enjoying it. And that it is connecting people. So I've actually embraced it as much as anyone can. I do miss live shows, obviously, and all that. And, and there's a part of me that just really likes, getting dressed from here up. And
yeah, there's less travel time. You're not putting stuff in luggage, and it's pajama pants. You got pants with pockets now.
Yeah.
Mike Gamash saying, I really like women comics because I like intelligent comedy that requires you to think. Most women comics have a very smart, quick jokes that hit the mark with little to no bullshit. So
Thank you, Mike.
there we are. Did you have any tips for people to connect with the audience when you're just performing to the green light? I mean, other than if it's Zoom asking to
Just
see
trust your
everyone.
instincts. Like, really just trust your instincts and be yourself. Like, and that took me many, many years to learn. But just, you have to be yourself in whatever platform, whether you're live, whether you're on Zoom. I mean, the most people, who do you love to watch? People who are just authentically being themselves and, being joyful in that. So I think that's the trick to it.
Now, at the end of the show, we're going to be doing a little giveaway of Kate's most recent book, A Second Best Mom. Type hashtag second best into the chat, and then we will do the giveaway. So you just have to type it once. It'll stay in there, and we'll be able to...
Because it's Mother's Day on Sunday.
It's Mother's Day on Sunday. So even if you don't want it, of course you want it for yourself. But if you can get it read by Sunday, then you can re-gift it to your mom.
That's right.
That's
or I can sign your mom's name. Doesn't matter.
Yeah, sign it to the mom's name. And Vong Show is saying, amazing. I love Kate Davis. Such a hilarious comedian.
Vong. I mean, he's taken everything to the next level. Like, I see Vong's head in the middle of Dundas Square on like a billboard. Like, oh my God, Vong. Yes, he's getting a book for sure. But, oh my God, he's just like a hero. He's embraced everything, he is about comedy and just extended it to so many people and taken them along for the ride. He's amazing.
And there is an episode with Vong Show in the back episode. So if you are watching, please hit the like. The like makes so much difference for a small YouTube channel like this. And also subscribe if you want to see more interviews with comedians. Now, just with the future coming up, because of the fact, Vong is definitely wants to have the book. Just as a note,
Mike.
sorry, just gotta say, Mike, you have to use the 2. We're abbreviating it, so it's hashtag second best with the 2 ND. Second best.
Wow, you're strict.
It's not me.
It's
It's actually because it's the computer program that it is. It can't tell that SECOND. I had to think how it's spelled. Is the same as 2ND. That's oh man, I am.
Oh man.
There is you have okay, so you have the book out, and you also have one. We mentioned that you're going to be having another CD. Hopefully, you might, even if you have to record it. You think maybe recording it live outdoors in?
Probably not. I'll probably record it in my living room to my kids and my cat, and call it a day.
Which would be fitting with something called House Arrest.
Yeah. Yes. Well, House Arrest 2, or just Quarantini, something like that. Who knows?
Quarantini sounds like a good drink.
See, it is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There is, and the website is www.katedavis.ca.
Yeah.
Now, what else have you been doing over the summer or over the COVID period?
Okay, so I started. Now, I was going to start this before,
okay,
but I started a podcast, like everyone else, I guess. But it's called "So Now You're Dying. What Are You Doing to Live?" The trailer and the first episode is out, and I interview people who have a terminal illness with only so much time to live, and how their diagnosis has changed the way they're living. And really, it's their legacy and what they want the world to know. And it's advice, because I just found I lost my dad and my stepdad and Joanna Downey. And I just find in North America, we're so ill prepared. And there was nothing from the people. There's lots of podcasts on grief and caregivers, but there's nothing from the actual people going through it. And I started this podcast, and I love doing it. and I'm about to record my 4th episode this week. So they're coming out every 2 weeks. But honestly, it's and I asked, like, are you curious? Like, I asked them, like, what do you think the afterlife is? What do you want to be? What are you most worried about? Like, if it was me, I'd be most worried about my husband never changing the sheets again. You know what I mean? I'm like, guys, we got to get on that. All right. Like things like that. Who do you want? Can we swear?
Such a heavy subject right up until that point.
Right. And then I'm like, can we swear on this?
I fucking hope so. Yeah.
Okay. Like one of the questions I asked them is, who do you want to tell to fuck off? And like some guests are like, no one, I love everyone. And then other guests are like, Stan, I want Stan to fuck off. Right? You're like, oh my God, what did Stan do? Right? Like, so it's just a really interesting, like, I think we're all a little curious. Do you still have sex? Do you drive faster now? You got nothing to lose. Like, so it's heavy, but light, and it's touching, and it's meaningful. And I've just really learned a lot. And so it's called So Now You're Dying, What Are You Doing to Live? And it's probably, Paul, the only podcast you're never going to want to be able to be on. You know what I mean? It's like every other podcast is like, can I be a guest? And this one's like, no, I don't want to be a guest. So.
There is... How are you okay? So you've got 4 at least. Well, you've done 3 interviews. The first one has come out, and you've got the 4th one lined up. How are you finding these people? Like,
okay. So at the beginning of this, I actually made posters with the little rip-offs like you used to see at your supermarket. And I was going to put them up at like Princess Margaret and stuff like that. But then everything shut down and COVID hit. So I can't go anywhere. So I posted it on Facebook groups, like terminal illness groups and stuff like that. But I just put at the end of my podcast, if you know someone who wants to be on the podcast, or you are someone or need to be on it,
who's
please,
dying to be on it.
Yes, exactly. Just let me know. And I'd love to. So I think word of mouth is going to be the most powerful of it, because I think it really, like, I would have loved my dad to have done this, or like just to even hear his voice. You know what I mean? Like things like that, and what he really thought about everything. And like, so I think it's right when the first episode came out, I already had a couple emails of people wanting to be on it. So, and it's not like they're dying next week. Like they could be given 2 years. Right. You know, I have one woman, she's like, I've been fighting for my life for 4 years now. So, it's not, but it is a great lesson, because it really changes your perspective on everything that's going on while you're living. I know. Sorry, it's heavy.
No,
get back to funny.
I want to kind of share, because one of the first video cameras I bought, it was around the time that my mother was suffering from cancer.
Yeah.
And so one of the things I did was I sat down with her and Dad and like talked about family history, talked about how they met, and talked about when she was younger. So I've got all those recordings, which that's definitely not going to be a podcast with anyone, but it's for me and my family. Mm-hmm. And I just it felt very important at the time to get that done.
Yeah, that's amazing. So I'm hoping this will be, and they all different perspectives. Some people believe in the afterlife and heaven and God, and some people are like, nope, none of it. Right. So it's very interesting how differently everyone faces it, how much, some people go alternative. Some people, my first guest, Helen Donnelly, was like, I don't want any of your unsolicited advice at all. Science is where it's at. Save your sugar diets to yourself. You know what I mean? It's just like, no. So it's been really fascinating. And it was very, it felt like the way it felt like when I started stand-up or started my speaking, where it was very organic, and it just it was something I just felt like I needed to do.
What is the name of your podcast? So
Now You're Dying. What are you doing to live? And it's on everywhere. It's on Apple. It's on Spotify. It's on Buzzsprout, who hosts it. Yeah. It's also on my website. There's a link to it there.
There we go. I'm just going to put that up there. So yeah,
That's it.
the print got a little bit smaller because it's so long, but
No, sorry. And you know what is so funny? Like, because even the name, I was like fighting with my brain about. I'm like, it's too harsh. What am I doing? I can't name it that. And then a part of my is like, that's the point of doing it, because none of us do want to talk about it.
Right.
Everyone does want to, you're all of a sudden it's too late. It's already happening. So even that was like a real, like just a thought process, and really like a fight in my brain, because I could have just called it, what are you doing to live? And I find everyone's like so obsessed with true crime, and we're all a little voyeuristic that, right? So yeah.
I mean, the title almost reminds me of the John Cusack catchphrase in the TV show Utopia.
Oh, right.
Have you seen that? Or
ages ago,
I believe. Yeah, so his character keeps on asking other characters, "What have you done to earn your place in the world today?"
Right.
But there is a direct link for people on your website there. So katedavis.ca.
Yeah.
So that was born out of the fact that you were home. And
yes.
Any other process, like anything else have come out of the quarantine? Like, because you didn't even mention that. I didn't see it on your website.
No, I know. It's just so new. It literally came out. I should have mentioned it. I think just like I'm starting my second book. Third actually, because I have another one before that. But so I'm starting my next book, and it's starting with, because I had my first bomb when I was 8. I bombed for my first time when I was 8, because at parties I love doing Mr. Chinnigan. When you draw like face on your chin and you lie upside down. And I used to like kill it at sleepover parties when I was a kid doing that. Like just people laugh and cry. I thought, this is it. I joined the talent show at school, and I was like, okay, this is it. I'm going to do Mr. Chinnigan for the crowds. I'm going to kill it. But everyone was too far away in the auditorium, and nobody laughed the whole time. And that was my first bomb. So, I definitely, just want to do stuff like that.
Hash the One, Hasher is a Montreal comic. He's saying hi.
Hi.
And Mike Gamash, who still hasn't entered the thing in properly, is into the chat to win in the contest. Is too many people nowadays are not taking the time to really connect with the elder folks in their family, because of the rhythm of life is so damn fast. But it's a shame if you don't put in the effort, because time flies by way too quickly, and it's too late comes far too fast. So
true that.
Thanks for the downer again, Mike. Yeah. I'm still waiting to grow up. I don't know. It's weird when people call me an elder.
I know. I agree. What were we talking about though? Sorry.
You were talking about the fact that you're working on your next book.
Yes. Yeah. So just stories like that. I just want to do stories like that.
And do you have a writing discipline with it, or?
I have to give myself deadlines. So I've done all my chapter outlines, and now I'll start writing every day for that. And you know what? Some of that might end up in my stand-up or vice versa. It just depends. Yeah.
Now, obviously, because you have books published, do you have a literary agent? Did you have a literary agent when you were writing for the magazine, or?
No, that happened like through, so I spoke at an event, and then they sort of sponsored me, and they're like, do you want to write this article? And I was like, yes. And then I did get published. I had a publishing company in the States I worked with on the first book I did, which was called The Breastfeeding Diaries. It's all mothering. There were no pictures. Anyway, and then the second book, Second Best Mom, I actually self-published. Because I just sell it mostly at gigs, pretty much, like, yeah, and online. Like, I'm just, because I figured out, like, because I didn't know, like, if you go into a bookstore, that a lot of that, like, even like on the tables, like the discount tables, it's all bought space by publishers, which I didn't know. Yeah. So it's all like, anyway, so I'm just like, I'm going to sell what I sell. my first book was in all the chapters and stuff, indigos and stuff like that. And the second one, I'm like, I sell them at events, at gigs and shows and stuff like that.
Cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's now are you getting airplay on the Sirius XM channel?
Yes,
Just
I
Ross
am.
channel?
Yeah. So I've been getting airplay on Sirius and GFL channel, and I think a couple channels in the States as well. Because my uncle lives in LA and he heard me there. Yeah. So here and there, just, chugging everything, every little bit helps between just my comedy shows. And then I do a lot of motivational speaking. So I have 3 different keynotes that I do, all on like resiliency and connectivity and stress management, but all through humor. So I was doing all those live, and now I've transferred them all to online and virtual and stuff like that. So I've been doing all those as well. So a lot of my stand-up is in there, but also everything I believe. Bam.
That's nice. Boom. That is that is definitely a boom pump moment. Everything you believe.
Yeah. About how laughter makes us kinder to one another. If a group of people are laughing, what's our first thought? And we're out. What are they laughing at? Everyone wants to be a part of that, right? Like a great workplace or a great community. It's inclusive. And honestly, if we're going to talk about meditation and mindfulness, nothing brings people into the moment faster than laughter, because it's impossible to laugh without being in the moment.
Bang.
Right?
That is said very well.
There are just so many beautiful things about comedy and what it is and the power of it. Yeah.
It's one of the psychology things that I read about stand-up comedy is the reason why a lot of comedy clubs are in the dark, like they keep the audience in the dark. One is to make the performer distinctive, because they're in the lit area, but 2, laughing is being vulnerable. And so if you are hidden in the dark, it sort of feels a bit more protected.
Right. Yeah, for sure.
Which is, a little bit of pop psychology in there. I don't know how true it is, but it rings true to me. Now, with all the stuff that you started doing online, do you think much of that will be continuing
I think
into the future?
I think it will be a bit of both. Like, I'm already booked for like a couple conferences in 2022, which are live, which I was supposed to do in 2020, right? Mm-hmm. And they've just moved everything. Didn't want to go virtual at all. And other places are just doing virtual, and they're sticking with their virtual. I think it's, I think it's going to be a mixture of both, because I think if you can't afford to go to a conference or an event that you want to go to, they might offer it as a live stream as well. So you don't have to, do the cost of flying there and putting yourself up at a hotel, but you can still engage in what's happening. I don't think comedy clubs will stay on Zoom at all. But I think certain shows, and I like the fact that a lot of this pandemic has forced not the comedy industry to step up, but comics to step up. And so many comics have started their own shows online and have asked other comics to be on. More than institutions and anything like that. And and some of, a lot of the festivals, or some of the festivals are very exclusive and you can't get on them, but you got to keep going. That's all.
Corey Mack is looking forward to doing hybrid shows. She's currently producing online shows. Rodney
Amazing.
Ramsey has opened what he calls a virtual
Corey Mack's
club.
a queen. She's a queen.
Most definitely.
Yeah, I haven't gotten to work with her enough.
Here's something as well, because one of the other things that I've noticed from comedians across the country there's been a lot of panel shows. So
yes.
Do any of those interest you? Like, because it's a very British sensibility. I know that you play in Europe.
Yeah.
And I know the British panel shows seem to be popular.
Mock the Clock, and I love it. I think there should be panel shows. I think there should be a Canadian late night talk show. Why aren't we using Steve Patterson to host that? Like, it's crazy that we're not supporting our own, and, even like, Canadian Stand-Up Association and all that, trying to get us recognized as artists.
Yes.
I can't apply for an Arts Council grant. Are you
how low the
kidding me?
bar is right now for us. Yeah.
Yeah. Like, it's insane how much revenue we bring into this country with all the open mics and all the comedy clubs and all the streaming and everything that's going on, and how much we give to charities and all the charity events and fundraising events we do, and they can't recognize us as an art form is insane.
I think is actually kind of on the border of insane is they recognize that we're so important to the economy that they make it hard for us to leave to go perform elsewhere. But it's no problem for U.S. comedians to come up into Canada.
Absolutely.
And they don't need to have any kind of special work permit to work up here.
No, I have to prove I'm exceptional.
Yeah, an alien of exceptional abilities. I think that's the thing,
that's it.
To get a green card for the States and working visa for the UK is it's a lot easier though because of the Commonwealth rules, but it's still not perfectly easy. So this is the hashtag to enter in if you want to get a chance to get Kate's book. I've only seen one entry so far. But please type that in. Hashtag second best. All right, Mike has figured it out.
All right, Mike, you got it.
You got it. So do you got any final thoughts that before we go to the draw? Any final thoughts that you want to bring up in the show, or anything that you wished I asked that I didn't ask? Just because.
Oh my God, this has been so much fun. And so nice to hang out with you, and not in a dark club, right? And
I look better in a dark club.
Stop it! I feel like I look amazing. Anyway, I'm kidding.
You do look amazing.
Stop.
I'm thinking, what was the last time we performed together? I don't think I performed with you here in Montreal. I think Moncton. Yes.
Yeah. It was so hard for me to get back in Montreal once the clubs all switched over and everything, just because I don't have a lot of American credits and stuff like that. Right. So I hope I can get back there.
So, does part of you kind of wish that the border will still stay closed a little longer once things open up here?
Right. Yeah, maybe. All those clubs, all those Canadian clubs, us Canadian comics can't really get into. Yeah, no, that's actually a really smart thought. I forgot. Any last thoughts? Just I think you just have to be really honest with yourself, no matter what art form you're doing. And I think that honesty and vulnerability will come out in the potential that comes through that. Living to our fullest potential, I think, is all we can do. And some people are going to love you. Some people are going to hate you. And that's a part of it as well. And it's just, just having it, not, I guess, a thick skin that you just get through it. But I also find that the Canadian comedy community is truly, truly a gift. And it's, I think, ultimately really supportive.
It's like a family.
It is.
There's the odd, uncle that
the odd festival that hates you, that you really want to love you and adopt you. But yes, no, I understand. But you know what? Getting those things cannot be your validation.
No,
it can't be. And if it is, you need to stop doing it, because there's so many great people. So yeah. And comics. Right. Thank you so much.
My pleasure. This is my first time using this tool. I haven't had a giveaway on the shows before. So this is, by the way, I'm broadcasting via StreamYard. This is not a paid thing. They've just made it so easy to look quasi-professional while doing this. And I want to thank them. So here we go. Let's do the draw. As it dials between the two people that went in.
Well, we can do both of them.
Okay, we could do both.
We'll do both.
All right.
Yay!
So Vong is in Toronto, and
Will you
Mike
send me
Gamache
their
is here.
actual addresses? Email them to
Yeah,
me.
I will email the addresses. I will approach both of them for the email addresses
Thank you.
and send that to you. So Mike Gamache is the official winner. I think we're all winners because we get the chance to spend this time with you.
Thank you so much for having me.
That sounded very suck-up-ish.
This is the 54th episode, right? Like, am I your last resort?
Just to give you an idea. No, the next guest is going to be Derek Seguin, and the guest after that is Mike Wilmot.
All right, we're good.
All right, we are. I mean,
I don't know how you're going to get a word in edgewise with either of those guys, but good luck.
It's easier. It's easier if I just sit here and if I just like George Allen when he talked about performing. George Burns when he talked about performing with Grace Allen I'd get on stage. I say, "So Gracie, how was your day?" And then I shut up for 20 minutes, and then I'd go, "Well, say goodnight, Gracie," and she'd go, "Good night, Gracie," and that would be the show. It's the easiest show business gig ever. And that's what I want to do with this show is just have a chance to showcase comedians. There is a plan to take this and just take the audio to put online into a podcast. I'm just not really technically able. I don't know what I'm doing most of the time. So
me either.
I'm
with you. I'm with you.
I know, but StreamYard makes this look so good. So,
I'm gonna go on.
Yeah,
I love it.
That is everything. My name is Paul Ash. My guest today has been Kate Davis. Tune in next week for my guest, Derek Seguin. Remember, I love you all.